So now that we're pretty deep into our first game, it's time to talk about game mechanics. And this is probably the most important aspect of your game. And the reason is that that's what makes games fun to play. When we think about designing games, most people think about fancy graphics. However, that's not always what makes a game super fun to play. And in fact, some of the coolest games that have ever been played are really good with no graphical content at all. For instance, Csgo is a really fun game, and you can turn the graphic settings down all the way, and you can kind of have just as much fun. You can still talk crap to your friends over the internet and shoot them in the face, and it's still fun for the whole family, even with all those graphics set to the lowest settings. Same thing with games like Super Mario Brothers. If you look at some of the graphics in here, they're not the greatest, but you could put Super Mario Brothers on a phone or even on any kind of a handheld device or even on a computer, and it's still really, really fun to play. So graphics really are not everything, and in fact, the most crucial part of your games are going to be the mechanics. Which brings us to our discussion of our current game. Now, truth be told, at this point in our journey, our game really isn't that fun to actually play. It's very fun to create, and it's kind of cool for the first 5 seconds when you're like, hey, I made a game and this is cool, I made this myself. But if you just sat down to play it, it wouldn't be that fun. And a lot of it has to do with game mechanics. So if you look, I'm shooting a bunch of monsters, which should be fun, except for the fact that it's not very satisfying. And you're probably thinking, well, all the bullets do is just kind of hit the monsters, but the monsters keep coming and then they finally explode out of nowhere. There's no real tactical feedback or anything cool that you get back from the game that makes it satisfying to kill the monsters. And if you think about it, our game is very similar to a game called Asteroids from the early 1980s. And one of the things that makes Asteroids a more fun game to play than ours is clearly not the graphics. If you take a look at it, our graphics are obviously way better. But what makes a game like Asteroids more fun to play? Well, if you look at it, there's some solid user feedback when I'll play this video for you again. When the player is actually playing the game, you can see you get tactile feedback. It makes noises when you hit asteroids. The asteroids kind of react a little bit. There's some movement and animation. So I'm going to show you how to set that up with your monsters and make them more satisfying to shoot. Now, some of you have come up with different themes for your games. I encourage you to replace the pictures that I'm giving you with different pictures, but no matter what you decide to do, these principles are still going to show up, or are still going to hold up. So strap in. I'm going to show you how to make a couple of quick adjustments to make it really satisfying to shoot those monsters.